Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Dream, Declare, Deliver with myself, Chris Gorell. I'm co-author with Candace Sogren of the book Typhoon Honey, The Only Way Out is Through. And today, Candace is traveling with work and totally preoccupied. So I've actually invited my dear friend, Yuka Nakasone, who is a globalization, localization expert and a strategic consultant across multiple industries, from retail to science to engineering and architecture. It's just an amazing world that she lives in, and CEOs reach out to her to help them fit their message and fit their products to the local economy so that it's understood in their own vernacular and makes sense to them. But that's only one part of what she does. A lot of it is just strategic consultant. And Yuka is one of the brightest people I know, and I love her to pieces. So Yuka, welcome to Dream, Declare, Deliver. And I wanted to talk today about the art of declaration and how you apply it in your life. And we were just chatting a little bit before we got on the air that it's a matter of kind of trusting and stepping forward. And I see you do that all the time. When you do that, what happens? What's it feel like, and what happens for you?
Yeah, thank you very much for an amazing introduction. I felt like, oh my God, that's me. So what happens is this, like something maybe you didn't even imagine can happen, may happen, and actually happens.
Yeah.
Right. And I did the transformation leadership training actually with Candace and you, at the school.
Yeah.
But this practice of trusting and taking a leap of faith is my kind of usual practice.
Right.
The way I met you was, I think not 2000.
Oh, it was before that, I'm sure.
Yeah, 1997, I think.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there, when I was living in Boston. And now you're in the greater Boston area, but me, I'm speaking to you from Barcelona, Spain. What happened between then and now, Yuka just took a leap of faith.
Yeah, one leap after another, really.
Yeah. But that was a huge leap because I had a green card already assigned, approved and coming. I had a H-1B visa, and just the moment of shifting from H-1B to green card, I just decided to come to Europe. I just decided. So I created kind of a void, pitching, throwing the green card. People told me crazy nuts, everything
Right,
you can imagine. And I kind of resigned my position at a very thriving business. And I had promised a position as well. And I had all my friends, all my network and professional friendship. I just quit and came here to Spain without kind of nothing.
Without really knowing what was out there. So there's two things in what you just said that I want to pick up on. One is that people call us crazy. When we do that leap of faith. You know, and it's a matter of trusting something way bigger than yourself or way bigger than myself, you know. And we often refer to it as trusting the universe or trusting, you know, the powers that be, or whatever it is. You know, some people even refer to it as in deity names and so on. But it's a matter of trusting that there's more out there and than what we can imagine. And that's the second concept that you mentioned that I want to pick up on is it's always bigger than I can imagine.
Yeah.
In fact, how I know that I can trust, you know, something more powerful than me or trust the universe and take that leap of faith is that what I imagine for myself comes from my own experience of what is possible. And so, I mean, I've seen things happen in the past, and you know, and if I trusted only on my own experience, then what I would imagine as my declared future, would be limited to what my brain could do.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know,
So,
but when I trust that universe, you know, that greater thing, boy, things that show up are much bigger than what I was imagining or hoping for or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, this when really this needs to happen or this happens, maybe you're cornered, kind of, you take that leap or stay there in the dark or shadow or sorrow or whatever it is. You know, I I I I'm looking back my life, and when I really take a huge leap, not small leap, huge leap, I'm cornered to either take this or stay where I am, struggle, or being sad or crying, you know. So I guess that's my character of just taking a chance and try something new, you know. So maybe that's what I learned when I was small, maybe at work. So I start to take kind of risks and go somewhere I don't know, talk to somebody I don't know, or whatever it is, and I kind of know that if I do this, maybe something good happens. Maybe that's how I learned, and I start to practice, and I started to take huge leaps. And what you said was really true, that when I came from the States to Spain, the least thing I imagined really was I would meet somebody from France, not Spain, getting married to him. So my world expanded far beyond what I was imagining or declared. I was going to Spain, but it wasn't Spain, it was Europe.
Yeah. And if we, you know, kind of fast forward to the future or to the present, I mean, to, you know, to where you are now in your career, you know, you've been working at a certain level, and in our conversations, I kept on saying, you know, Yuka, you're worth more than what you're charging. You're worth more than what you're charging, and so finally you said, okay. And what happened when you started adjusting your rates? I mean, there was one particular thing that I was thinking of, you know, but you declared, you know, this is my new billable rate.
Yeah.
And what happened?
What happened? I think two things happened. One is actually financial, and the other is more like field. Like I declared who I am. And the work came to prove that.
Yeah.
And
And that's really the thing that I was
yeah,
referring to, is like you shifted what your billable was as a statement of your own worth, and
yeah,
all of a sudden a whole batch of new work, new requests for your expertise came in at that level.
yeah.
You know,
It was kind of strange, and maybe it wasn't strange because I started to. It's not a magic, I think,
no, not at all.
because it's us in the world. So maybe because I shifted, that world changed. So it's not something coming to me because I shifted. I started to get something else.
Yeah.
I was able to attain that.
Yeah.
It was there, of course, but
That's
I
the
didn't.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't
It was
know.
already there. Yeah.
Always there. I mean, that came from the people that I knew before, so that shows that the way I talk, the way I kind of explained, and the way I could make them see what's the result
Hmm.
shifted as
Yeah.
a result of my declaring and trusting that. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. So it's trusting yourself, that I am worth this, and then trusting that, in the abundance that's around us all the time, that we weren't looking for work at that price before. It was there, and all we had to do is say, no, this is my new price. And people, I remember you telling me that even one of your clients wrote back and said, no, I can't pay you what that old price was. I have to pay you more than that. I have, and actually came out with the exact new price that you were going to ask for in renegotiating. He beat you to it and said, here's what we're going to offer. And it was like your new billable. So
it was
it
kind of
it would,
amazing.
well, yeah, and it kind of sometimes feels like magic. But in Typhoon Honey, we talk about peeling back the layers, opening the curtains and looking behind the curtains of what that magic actually is one, there is a magic in saying I'm worth it, in believing that, because it shifts the way you describe yourself. It shifts the way you value yourself, and you walk in with a whole new experience. I had, for me, like, this came true, or came into clarity, a long time ago for me. I was working, in a 3-person consulting firm, me and 2 other people. And somebody, friend of a friend called up our office and said, hey, do you guys do that? And they handed the phone to me. And so I answered some questions, and they invited us down to pitch the business. This was in Washington, D.C. I'm living in Boston. So the 3 of us went down, and it turns out we're pitching business for, over $500,000 worth of consulting. And the other 2 competitors in the final were 2 multinational, huge consulting firms.
Wow.
We won the business because, being fast and agile, they didn't know that we were only 3 people and that all 3 of us were there, but we pitched the business and we won it. That's not the story. The story is, in winning the business, part of what I, got to do, was coach the president and CEO, who was, Oxford and Cambridge educated as a Brit, and just a former president of British Telecom. I mean, this is a senior executive. So I'm on the plane, and I'm probably halfway between Boston and DC, and this thought hits me. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You're this, like this kid from the sticks of Pennsylvania with the, state university type educations. My degrees are all from just regular colleges, not the prestigious Harvard, MIT or Cambridge and Oxford. Who do you think you are going to coach this person who's so good?
Mhm.
The very next thought was, if I have that much respect for him,
Mhm.
I better at least respect the fact that he has chosen me.
Oh yeah.
So I could either show up
Mhm.
and in Washington, D.C., turn around and get on the next plane home and, and buy into the fact that I'm not enough, or say, well, if he chose me, maybe he saw something in me that I don't see in myself. I better show up with that. I did. And everything has been different ever since then. That was the first day I really felt like
Wow.
an executive leadership coach, because he trusted me, and then I was forced to trust myself. And ever since
Wow.
then, I've pitched myself as a senior executive coach. And that was, I don't know, that was also in the late 90s or so. So I've been doing senior executives only ever since then. But
Wow.
that turning point of saying, I'm not worth it, to yes, I better show up. I better be worth it. I trust that this guy made the choice. And sometimes, sometimes that validation seems like it comes from other people, but if we peel back the layers, it's actually when you or I or anybody says, I'm worth it. I
Oh
am.
yeah.
I am a force to be reckoned with. And we
Yeah.
declare that, then the outside world, comes around and says, yeah, that's what I see too, and so it's this matter of, kind of saying so, saying that I am who I am, that I'm worth it.
Yeah.
And then when we step in, or we take that, that leap of faith forward, saying, well, it, I am worthy of that, then everything shows up aligned with that. It's
Yeah.
not really magic,
Hmm.
there's actually, just a paradigm shift or a visual shift that people have and that we have when we do that,
Yeah. And actually, to get to the point that you really need to declare who you're going to be. I guess you need lots of help from other people, because we tend to go back to, I'm not enough. Who
Yeah.
do I think I am?
And as you
So
said, that all comes from when we're little, you know.
yeah.
I mean, scientists say that we learn 95% of our vocabulary before the age of 5,
Wow.
and so, all of our science words and our big words and our globalization words and things like that only represent about 5 to 10% of our vocabulary. So
Wow.
when we learn all those words, we're learning about what the world is that those words describe. Right. So we're
Yeah.
learning 95 or 90 to 95% of our words, but we're also learning 95% of what we believe the world is like
Oh
when
yeah.
we're 5 years old or under. In other words, when we're little and pipsqueaks and not much, have no authority in the family, we're not fast, we're not strong, we're just little kids.
Yeah.
And so, and all of our concepts about life come from there. When we're not big,
Oh,
we're not strong, we're not fast,
yeah.
we're not strong, intelligent, we're not competitive, we're and so we learn, I'm not
Yeah.
that,
That makes sense.
it
made perfect sense.
well,
That's the
especially
reason
from
why,
your your background, where you came from a society that that didn't value girls and women as much as they valued boys and men. And so that was part of the lessons that you learned when you were little and that
Oh yeah,
you
of
had to break
course.
free from.
Yeah, of course, because I have a older brother,
Hmm.
meaning he gets everything that
Right,
I didn't get. And I
right.
didn't understand. It's kind of, for parents, it's automatic. The
Hmm.
thing that they give or allow to boys and allow or give to girls, there's nothing bad or good, but it's kind of automatic reaction from
Yeah.
the social, setting.
Hmm.
So they don't even think, like, they give a doll to me, they give a balls to my brother, and they let him go to the whatever, but they keep me at home. That's
Yeah.
kind of automatic reaction for them. So there's
Yeah.
nothing.
But that's really cultural. That's
Mm,
not their fault or anything like that. It's
no,
just it was the culture you were brought up in. You
yeah,
know,
but I have that
yeah, yeah.
imprinted. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes we just fight the natural process of we're little and we learn that we're not enough and not strong enough or whatever, not smart enough. But sometimes there are cultural things in there. I grew up
Mhm.
in pretty much poverty, Appalachia area. And we always say, though it wasn't the pure poverty line, we could see it from our house.
Mm,
We could, it wasn't that far away. So kind of subsistence living. And
mm,
and when you live in that kind of scarcity, financial scarcity,
mm,
where literally paychecks come in and pay the bills, and then you look at what's left over for food.
mm,
Um,
mm.
there's a set of beliefs that I learned as a kid about the scarcity of things. So
Mm,
whether it's your culture as a Japanese, woman, or my culture as a poverty, kind of birthplace or family of origin,
mm.
we learn cultural things as well as just the pure experiential things of being
Yeah.
small that add to that whole belief system that
Mm,
we're not enough. So,
yeah.
so people may be fearful of or worried about, how come I feel I'm not enough all the time, and think that they have a psychological
Mm.
problem. It's not a it's just a natural course of events. It's
Yeah.
just as
Yeah.
natural. And the thing that we're talking about in Dream, Declare, Deliver
Mm,
is it's
mm,
just as natural to trust the abundance.
mm.
Once we've
Yeah.
learned that that stuff is not truth, it's
Yeah.
just what we were told and what we figured out as smart little kids.
Mhm,
We put things together,
mhm. Yeah. And
that we never challenged, and now we get to challenge that.
so the challenge, real challenge is how you can dream big or bigger
Hmm.
and the biggest. Because when you ask me, so what's your dream? Maybe I say something like I'll make up like a little bit bigger condo with a kitchen with a window looking at a forest or maybe ocean or something like that. But
Hmm.
you can ask, why don't you ask a house?
Right.
Why don't you ask? I mean, if if we try to think what we really can get, there's no limit, but we tend to limit ourselves. So
Yeah. Right.
that's the real challenge, how you can declare something for yourself.
Right. Well, and
Yeah.
and we're told, a lot of times by our society, there's another belief that, it's uh greedy to want something more, or
Yeah.
things like that, or to declare, I want to make, X amount of dollars this coming year. I
Mhm.
want to make 200,000 or something like that. Oh, that's greedy of you. Well, no, it's not. It's just that's my vision, my goal, and my big why, has to be
Mm.
bigger than that goal. My big why is I want to make enough that I can give to others and to be in service to people and things like that. When I have a bigger why, it seems like the universe says, yes, I can fuel that. I'll help you out with that, but if we say I want to get lots of money and keep it all to myself, what we're doing in doing that is we actually block the flow of abundance. It's not, it comes to us as much as we give it away.
Yeah.
There has
I
to
can
be
see that.
some, you have to work within the structure of flow. And what you bring in is enabling you to give more to, out of what you have. So we often talk about, in the art of declaration, we talk about declaring not things, because that's going to be limited by my mindset or my ego's wishes, but declaring from your big why. Like, why would you want that? Why would you want a condo like that? What does it free you up to be able to do?
Yeah.
And how
Talking
do you want to
about
serve
that,
people? Yeah.
going back to my work, I think it's very, it doesn't do good to anybody if I play small, because by declaring I'm this kind of strategist, which I really can serve as, I can help people who needs my help. And it's kind of egoistic of myself if I keep it myself, or I stop myself.
And that's playing small. I mean, keeping for yourself is also playing small.
Yeah.
And as you said, and it reminds me of that wonderful quote from Marianne Williams, that we don't serve the world by playing small. What we fear most is not that we're inadequate. What we fear most is how actually powerful and great and wonderful we really are. And when we play small, we deny that to the world. We put our light under a basket. And when we step forward and really bring our gifts, it empowers other people to do the same thing. So it doesn't serve anybody to play small. Especially ourselves.
And if your clients or your prospect is suffering from a symptom that you can alleviate, why you have to be thinking selling is not my thing, selling is dirty, selling is not good. I mean, it's good for everybody. You can actually serve and help.
I have a dear friend who has been corporate most of her career and has decided to go off on her own and start her own consulting practice. And she was always afraid of where's the next thing coming from. And once she started living from her declaration and serving and really standing in her big why, she what she discovered was that her belief about sales, about selling as a consultant, was that you had to constantly be on the sell. And what she's found is that when she's standing in her purpose and her why, it's a matter of meeting people and connecting people and making new friends, and in just valuing who she is in that process. People say, hey, can you do this? Or people say, you got to talk to her because she's been asking me for that, and you do that. And so it's all these referrals and things that happen as a result of our just standing in our own power of I am enough. So
I agree.
So we're almost up against our half-hour deadline. I have always vowed to keep these things short so that people can have digestible information. But I just want to acknowledge you for taking the step forward, for always taking the leap of faith. I just, my giggle every day is I get a text from Yuka that says, "Oh, I let this happen, and look what showed up." And it's just beautiful to be, a witness to that. And
Oh, thank you.
and it actually has just served you so well to continue, in the process of daring enough to dream big, daring enough to say you're worth it, and then being able to deliver on what you talk about. Really the way we implement this is, kind of on a daily basis, one day at a time, is like, we were able to fulfill what we declare because because we're more conscious of our ownership in that.
I know.
And what I've noticed, in you is that you used to work your tail off to make ends meet, and now, having adjusted your price to what you're actually worth, you're getting more and doing less, and that's
I
that's
actually have time. Yeah.
you actually have time, so thank you so much for allowing me to chat with you. And I look forward to every conversation that we have.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts that you have about the risk, the stepping forward in risk, or the leap of faith, as we were talking about it?
Well, I just encourage everybody to reflect where they are, and if they can take a leap, even if it's small, it's wonderful.
Sometimes we start small. That's just enough.
Yeah. And nothing can happen. I mean, the worst result you already have. Nothing happens, so if you don't do
Ooh,
nothing happens. So
right.
so just keep
That's
taking
brilliant. I
risks.
want to say that again. The worst result you're already sitting with. You're doing nothing, and nothing's going to happen. But when you take a risk, you're opening up for great things to happen.
Exactly.
And I can't think of a better place to end this. So thank you so
Yeah.
much. Have a great day, and thank you all for joining us on Dream, Declare, Deliver.
Yeah. Thank